Well, thank you very much for that kind introduction. I'm afraid it was Chairman of Conservative Future Scotland, so only one nation in our fantastic community of nations we have here. Can you hear me at the back? Yes. Excellent, excellent. If I start to go too quick or too slow, just wave at me frantically, and I will strive to speak more clearly. Well, it is a privilege to speak after such eminent speakers as we had today, saying such insightful comments. But it's also a privilege to be here for another reason, because I have a confession to make. And I trust that once I have made it, you will not drive me from the hall crying shame, because I voted Remain. It's there, it's out there. But I speak to you now with the zeal of a convert. So... What I want to do over the next few minutes is firstly say very briefly about what's got me to change my mind, and then to go on and think about what sort of Britain we want after Brexit. So, why did I change my point of view? Firstly, unlike an awful lot of members of our media, I believe in democracy. I believe when you have a free and fair election which delivers a clear result, that result should be respected, and that therefore we have a moral duty to deliver Brexit. The second reason for my change in viewpoint is in actual fact that I've been very shocked by the way the European Union has responded to Britain's decision to withdraw. I feel it has shown the European Union at its worst, at its most bureaucratic, and at its most narrow-minded. And frankly, it is not an institution that I feel I want to be a part of any longer. But the third and most important reason is that I actually believe that Brexit could be an opportunity for us to build a better Britain. I say could carefully, advisedly, because I think it's an opportunity that we could squander. But that being said, it could be the most amazing opportunity, the most amazing chance that we've actually had for many decades in this country. So, if you will be patient with me for a few minutes, I want to talk about what I, as a historian, as a young woman, as a member of the Conservative Party actually, what I feel the Britain I would like to see is. Now I'm sure many of you have your own viewpoints on that, but I want to share my viewpoint because I believe it's important that a lot of us, all coming from different parts of the political spectrum, put forward our vision, because only if we have a national conversation will we actually get to building a kinder, more inclusive, also a Britain. Only if we have a national conversation will we get to building a thoughtful Britain, a secure, stable Britain in which everyone feels involved. So, what sort of Britain do I want? I think a lot of the way the Brexit debate has been framed by those who are, perhaps one should say, Remoaners, has been that as it's a very unkind and divisive movement. And I don't think that has to be the case. I think Brexit gives us an opportunity to build a kinder, more caring Britain. And I want to expand on that a bit. Firstly, I actually believe it gives us a chance to be kinder and more caring in our society at home. I think it is no accident that one of the most quoted figures of the entire referendum was the figure about the money to the NHS on the side of that bus. And I know that's become controversial, but the fact is, people thought that the NHS was a vote winner. People thought that supporting the sick, supporting the weak, was a way in which people might come round to supporting Leave. And I think, actually, that is one of the reasons why people voted Leave. They wanted the money to go to, and rather than going to bureaucrats in Brussels, they wanted money to go and help the weakest and most disadvantaged in our societies. And I think it is no accident that many of the areas that voted most strongly for Brexit were areas which have been neglected by the current regime. I say regime, but maybe that's a bit extreme, but that is increasingly what it's feeling like coming out of Brussels. So I think we should build a Britain where we care for the weakest, where we support people, where rather than spending money on bureaucracy, we actually spend money on care and compassion. I also feel that we should be kinder to other nations. And as you all know, the European Union has put major restraints on the way we interact with our other allies across the world. In particular, it has shaped our relationship with the Commonwealth, which has traditionally been a huge support and friendship to the United Kingdom. On this note, I'd also like to say that I think the EU has actually affected how we are able to interact with some nations within Europe, sometimes negatively. For example, I think it's partly the stranglehold of the EU, which is means that there has not been greater outcry about what is happening in Catalonia at the moment, which honestly, locking up independent opposition politicians, locking up people simply for voicing their views, that is the action of dictatorship. It is not the action of democracy. And I cannot believe that an institution which is supposed to support democracy is not standing there saying, this is not what we do. But it isn't, and the European Union is too frightened, is too looking to itself, it's not helping people who are genuine. However much you may not agree with the cause of Catalan independence, can I just say, you do not lock up opposition politicians just because you disagree with them. And the third point I want to make is that I actually believe leaving the EU might give us the opportunity to create a kinder planet, to actually be more caring to the environment. Because our policies towards land, our policies towards fishing, have been dictated by Brussels for a very long time. And although some of the time Brussels has had policies which are pro the environment, quite often it's been what a group of people in the committee room in Brussels thought was right, rather than people with a real understanding of the landscape and the seas. And I believe that as an independent Britain, we have a new, unique opportunity to put the voices of our farmers who care for our landscape, to put the voices of our fishermen who know our seas, whose in own interest it is not if they are fished so there are no more fish by Spanish fishing boats. Is it in our interest if we preserve Britain and her surrounding waters as a sustainable, environmentally friendly landscape? And as an independent nation, Britain has the possibility to shape its own environmental policy, producing a policy that secures us food security at the same time as not destroying this lovely, wonderful, green and pleasant land. So, as you heard, my profession is as a historian, and I feel as a historian that we are currently at a turning point. And it's a turning point that I see some of our current political leaders as squandering. They don't seem to recognise that we have an opportunity to look to the long term. All we're seeing at the moment is arguments about the next couple of years. We're seeing short-term policies from short-term politicians. But in actual fact, this is a turning point. Just as after the Second World War was a turning point, this is a chance to us to shape the Britain we want for generations. So I believe that we have a chance for a free, fair and independent nation if Brexit is handled correctly. And I feel that that debate about our free and fair nation, how we want to achieve it, the best way to get there, is a national debate. It's something that's far, far too important to be left to politicians. So the thought I want to leave you with is, in my view, it was ordinary people who brought Brexit. It wasn't, by and large, the people who were in power. It was the people in the constituencies who came out and voted on that momentous day in June. And I want to say, I believe it should be the ordinary people who shape it. And for that reason, I'm delighted to see so many here today. And I think one of the things we should do is have a conversation about what Britain we want. Thank you very much.